We are back again. Behind the Bill with Peter.
Hello.
Yes, today we'll be talking about some controversial topics. So recently, what's trending? We have the Nicole Liel saga. So, what are your? Okay, let's do a short rundown. Right. So Nicole went to social media and started blasting the ID for a lot of wrong things happening in the house. Right.
Mhm.
And then we also had Wayne sharing his side of the story and explaining how did something happen, what did he do to do recovery, or basically sharing with us his chats and also all the breakdown of why caused what and then what he do for recovery. So we researched the topic already.
Mhm.
So let me know what are your thoughts. Start from the client side.
I think before that, there's no way for us outsiders to really know who is truly at fault. But if you ask me, I would say usually when a renovation goes terribly wrong, most of the time it's always both sides that contributed to having such a long delay. I think this whole delay was about 4 months already, according to the video itself. So definitely the ID side, there will be considerations or factors that affect his judgment or ability to run the site properly.
Sorry, I just interject with a breakdown. So she engaged him to design the house. Whether did she engage him to manage the project, we are not sure.
Yeah.
Right? And also, I believe she has a group of vendors who are sponsored.
Some partially sponsored or lowered costs. Then there are also some that are fully sponsored. But yeah, same. We'll never know which are which.
But there are complexities in such an arrangement like that.
Correct.
For example, if I'm engaged as a project manager and the client brings in her own vendors, I can only do my best to keep pushing them because I do not hold any contractual relationship with them.
Correct.
Even payment is not something I can use to push these guys. Right? So we put up a schedule, we tell them, hey, do this thing on time. If they don't come in, then there's not really much a project manager can do, right? And on top of that, work gets pushed around. Like, hey, this guy delay me, the other guy delay me. But we will never know for sure who's delaying who unless we are 100% micromanaging the site to know every detail. Right? I think this kind of manifested in how the lightings are done in a very weird pattern. They call it the Orion belt, right? And I think some of the cabinetry were a bit off measurements and kind of affect the whole move-in process.
I think for like according to the video is or at least what we know about this industry, yes, I do agree that there are many parties involved, multiple parties. It can get very complex if the client themselves, or in this case, have sponsored items,
right,
or lowered fees directed to the client itself. Because as IDs most of the time, right, yeah, we are designers and we are also project managers for companies that are running under design and build. If clients find their own contractors, like what you mentioned, we cannot push the suppliers and the contractors because we are not the one paying them. So in this case, if let's say anything goes wrong on site, renovation, minor mistakes and problems will always occur in every single renovation, right?
That's right.
But if let's say just because there's one issue and we need to solve it on the spot, but me as a project manager, right, if I talk to the vendor and the vendor said, oh, if I want to do this, maybe need to add extra. If I'm the project manager, right, then I'll say, okay, is this issue solvable using just a bit of my earning just to rectify this and get it done? But if I say, okay, come, just do it. Anything the invoice, right, when it goes to the client, right, then the client will start to wonder, how come initially you charge me this price? Then now suddenly you tell me this one. And then after that, they come and question the project manager again, right? Then it becomes this whole circle, right, where I want to push for renovation to be done, but they don't want to listen to me because if the clients are not willing to pay the vendors the extra amount, then they will never listen to the project manager. So it can get very, very complicated. And like there are cases for myself where clients also brought in their own vendors. Nobody wants to listen to each other because the paymaster is the client in the first place. But the client already squeezed all the vendors dry already, right? They'll just say, 我真的不想做. Anything they do, right? If I do, they'll tell the project manager, if I do, then will this client pay me or not? If this client don't pay me, right, then I do for what?
Yeah, I think everyone will have the same mentality, right? As much as we want to avoid any additional costs, because to the vendors themselves, it costs them time to get arrange these things as well. So to them, I'm not even making money. So these additional things have to be borne by someone. But if those costs stack up so much, then the project manager is going to have a difficult time trying to explain it. I'm not saying that you can't. You 100% can explain it. You're just going to spend a lot of time. But what if you're sponsored as well? So you'll be like, oh, at the expense of other clients, I'm spending a lot of time on this. And that can create a lot of friction between the client and the entire project team. But of course, as a project manager, this falls under your charge, nonetheless.
Okay, so a lot of people must understand that in Chinese they always say if like 一分钱一分货. So obviously if you want a full service, whether is it vendors or design services, you basically pay for what you want the vendors to service for you. In this situation, if let's say if it's sponsored, yes, the vendors or the designer did agree that okay, they are willing to do it for the exposure and potentially be on like the influencers social media and promote for themselves. But also at the same time, they have to take on other projects just to be able to sustain their expenses and also their own salary.
Right.
If you cannot expect the person to immediately come and solve the problem for you the next day because they also have other jobs. And if it's already sponsored, right, but you still want to expect 100%, or okay, not only sponsored, if they sponsored, yeah, because they agreed to it, sure. But if it's cutting down on the vendor or contractor's pricing just because you feel it's too expensive, then no matter what, they still have to compensate for other projects. So I always tell people or clients, right, you see, people always say that the renovation is expensive.
Yep.
Or they like this open secret that project managers or ID companies, right, they will mark up in the quotation itself. Why can't we just pay for what is sort of deemed necessary for us so that we can run the renovation properly for you? If let's say, right, you just pay me what I request or what I need to earn from I can make sure I focus on your project. say for example 80%, 90% of the time, every day I can go down right, and make sure okay everything goes very very smoothly. Any hiccup I solve for you. But if everybody's going to play the low ball game, right, and just because they want to have a cheaper renovation, right, they cut costs, cut costs, cut costs. You all must remember that every time when you cut costs, right, you are sort of removing our earnings. So because of that, right, I have to take on another job. And if I take on another job, it means that I have to split my time and energy, right, into two different projects. Means I have to spend 50% on your project and 50% on another project. And if this whole industry is going to keep lowballing each other and just go for the cheapest option just to close and roll over to another project to pay off, right, then it becomes, if I take on 4 other projects, right, each of my attention span become 25%. So it's not a double-edged sword. You all want cheaper, we can give you all cheaper, but you must make sure that you cannot expect the 100% of services, because no matter what, it is still our bread and butter.
So for us, when we quote for a project, we always sell the results. So the result being, I deliver whatever I promised to you, inclusive of whatever additional works. But these additional works do not solely fall on the project manager. If it actually does, it means that it wasn't managed very well. But every vendor has a little bit of issue here and there, drags everything out. So no matter how much you squeeze, you also have to include these, we call it risks, right? And I think that's why you should always sell a result and not like, hey, owner, this is the deliverables. I did 10. 10 of it is on site, but 2 of them have holes in them, 3 of them in the wrong places. That's not right. So a lot of people look at it like, hey, I already delivered whatever is on the list. But as a contractor, your job is to deliver a good product on time. And the deliverables are just something that we use as a measure of goods. So it's a lot more than just supply materials and installation, right? Then secondly, the point you touched on was, what do you touch on?
Which
I lost my
point?
thought.
Which point?
Wait, you thought, okay, squeeze here the profit, right? Then
Yeah, we talk about expectation of clients.
overrun. Okay. So let's not talk about free projects, even if they're all paid for. The reason why we spec a certain amount of price for a single project is our estimate of how much time they're going to spend there. And it's also a risk to us, because if there's an extension due to some delays, the owner's not going to pay you for extra month of project management. And that already costs you, right? I'm sure you have transport, you have miscellaneous things to buy here and there, coordinate these people, additional costs, paying the vendors. Like you said, like, if the client doesn't want to pay, then you just want to oil up the machine and get things moving quickly. Yes. But definitely, we look at it, there's a line we cannot cross, right? For example, all the issues that happen in that BTO, right, can be solved with money. Just redo the cabinets, right? Fix the lightings. Floor, just add a level of self-leveling. Settled. Am I right to say? But yeah, at the end of the day, cost. But the client gets angry because they had to extend their lease, right? That costs them money. And any potential events they're going to have, that is like probably grief to them. But at the end of the day, we're looking at material damages. So if someone needs to claim something, there has to be a certain amount involved, and a third party has to justify that amount. It's not like I throw you invoices, you throw me invoices, and things are going to get done. So at this stage, I think it falls back to the owner in that story, whether they are willing to play ball and finish this, rather than dragging it out on social media, which I don't see a point to it.
I think, like, this whole saga, or at least what's already known in this industry, right, yeah, is it's always going to have problems. Yeah, but really there are so much layers to or factors or considerations, right, yeah, that could trigger any sort of problems within the renovation itself.
Interject with one. If the subcontractor is really so fed up, right, and then they know like there's problems with the position of lighting, you just follow the plan, don't care.
Correct. So one thing that project managers should always do, right, yeah, is to go down site as much as possible, or at least during the crucial moments, right, yeah, like say for example electrical tiling, because I saw that there were quite a bit of tiling issues also,
Right.
self-leveling vinyl issues. Basically any renovation period that requires a lot of attention, carpentry, all this, right, yeah, suggest to go down almost every single day, right, yeah, for at least 2-3 hours. Yes, you have other sites to run, but if just because you want to save that 2-3 hours within the day to go and run other sites, right, yeah, what if in the future after you hand over already, right, yeah, all the problems will come.
Because some of these things can be avoided, right? Like,
It can be
do you have this
avoided.
practice where we go to the factory, carpenter's factory, and actually check out that all the measurements are right, and we double confirm with the site conditions whether there's any piping behind, and making sure it's stable and strong.
Correct.
So all these are extra time.
Yeah, like let's say carpentry measurement, all this, right, yeah. If like let's say according to the video, there's a gap between the carpentry, the kitchen tall cabinet to the tiling backsplash, all this could have been prevented if project managers or designers, right, go down on site. Anything, right, any problem on the spot, come and solve. You don't wait until 2-3 weeks later when the carpentry starts to install already, right? I think you realize that, hey, why is this problem there? Then that going to end up incurring costs. Or towards the end of the whole handover, right, yeah, you end up having all these backlogs. So it's more of which one would you rather have? Would you want to suffer that 2-3 hours waiting down there? Or do you want to end up having like 2-3 weeks of backlogs and potentially not even taking your last 5 to 10% of your handover fee?
Have you ever done a project where if anything that could go wrong just went wrong? Because I've had cases where we done the full measurements, everything accurately, right, on paper, went to the factory, confirmed. They can still fabricate it wrongly. And then when they brought to site, they're like, hey, you told me this the other time. You told me this the other time. So it becomes a you say, I say. Yeah. Then they make you shoulder the whole thing and said, you know what? Since we are here, no more payment, then we're not going to continue. So have you come across something like that?
Not so much about the payment issue, but more of basically everything going wrong. So a lot of times clients in the middle of the night, sometimes they will like 11-12 a.m. Sometimes they also text you, ask you can rectify something. I mean, at the end of the day, even though we are in this industry, right, we are also humans lah. We would forget things as well. So there was a case where everything was done. The kitchen skirting, the tile skirting, right, cement, everything all the way already, all calculated accordingly already. After that, the client decided to, in the middle of the night, decided to request to switch the sink and the stove. So because of that, right, the dimension, because it was an L-shaped kitchen, the dimensions, right, all went wrong. And then after that, when carpentry came that time, the carpentry installation, the bottom cabinet was more narrow than the kitchen curb. So it was very ugly. Then after that, rectify already. At the end of the day, yeah, everything can be solved. Money,
That's right.
pay lor. Then the other one is like also in according to this video, yeah, like yes, you have a project manager, but also the client themselves go and find their own, in this case, sponsor or their own vendors contractor. It became this finger pointing.
And sometimes they override the project manager as well.
Yeah.
No, I'm an expert. I say you have to do it like this. If you don't do it like this, then how? Then how are we going to continue? And then the client will go back to the project manager. Hey, why didn't you tell me this earlier? Say, no, you exact the changes now, which in the first place we didn't cater for. So now there are extra costs. So when some clients cry foul about why are there hidden costs? Some of these are man-made, not side-made costs.
Yeah. So it can get very complicated because it becomes like, oh, this one not my scope. This one another person's scope. So I had this past project. It was a landed house. It was very, very complicated. There were like more than 10 different vendors involved in this project. So we had that project had a builder, a main contractor, but the main contractor was only focusing on the structure.
Right.
Everything internally, right? Electrical is client's contractor, tiling client's one, window client's one. So it became, then after then there was a PE engineer, there was an architect, and then there's me, the designer, for the interior works lah. I go down there, I ask, this electrical stuff, right? Yeah, help me run, help me just pull over. Oh, this one not my scope. Okay, main con, this one also not my scope. I only do structure. Then how? Then nobody will listen to me. Then say, okay, this one wrong. This window is not supposed to be here. Because when they saw the drawing, right, architecture drawing with the grid,
right,
the window, like say for example, it was supposed to be at grid C.
Right.
But end up they did it to grid D.
That's a very big variation.
Yeah. So
considering that maybe it's like 3-4 meters apart.
Yeah, it was a very obvious mistake if according to those who knows how to see the drawing.
Right.
Then after it became, but this one now we do already, right? Yeah, going to incur cost leh. But the client already not paying me for my deposit already.
Oh my gosh.
Then how? I said, me as a designer, I was like, but you have to follow because this is my drawing. But to them, is I don't want to do any other alteration because I'm already not getting paid. Yeah, then after we'll go to the client, then we say like, hey, can you pay your contractors because they are not listening to us? Then but you are still trying to fault us for delaying the whole renovation all the way until like 2 years. It was a very draining, very, very draining project. So 2 years you come and drag us because first of all, you don't want to pay all your own personal vendors, but you want us to manage the vendors for you. And secondly, that client couldn't make up their mind. It took them 7 weeks just to decide whether they wanted to put a hydraulic lift in their unit.
What are the considerations required for installing a lift that you need 7 weeks to make a decision on?
Money.
I see.
Yeah. But it's not because they were tight on their budget, but because because it was a strata.
Oh, okay. So you need to sort approvals.
Not so much about the approval itself, right? Yeah, but because they wanted to do it in this way, right, where they wanted to convince the vendor, right, to bring down the hydraulic lifts pricing, right, to as low as possible. But the thing is, so even the lift vendor also said, all of y'all come and tell me, say y'all want to do all these kind of things. Y'all want, like, say different unit want to do different lift, and then expect me to lower down this person's cost so that
it covered by the rest.
so that potentially, right, the rest of the other units, right, will want to do the lift. So all the other people, right, they were saying, maybe I want to do, but nobody actually said that they want to do. But they kept wanting to push down the price. So the vendor said, y'all come and say y'all want to do. I can lower the price. If all of y'all come and guarantee me now, right, that y'all come and sign with me, we all do together. I can make sure the shipment, right, from a European country, I cannot remember. I can, within one shipment container, right, I bring all your leaf come down. Can, I will bring down the price. But if all of y'all say, I think I want to do, but only one person want to do, and you expect me to bring down the price, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the typical drawing a big biscuit.
Correct. So that's why it took them 7 weeks, right? And I attended the meeting. It For 7 weeks, it just went round and round and round of I think I want. So because of that, it affected my interior works. Because the lift was connect. If they wanted the lift would connect all the way until the attic.
Wait, so you mean this lift, the pit was already dug out?
Haven't.
So it was still very rough concrete screed face.
It was a recon work.
Right.
Recon. So for first and second floor, right, it's already existing unit. We only touched on the level 3 and attic. But if they wanted the lift, right, it would have gone straight to attic, which will affect the position of the living room.
Yeah.
Because the lift is a relatively big one. It was like, I think, a good 1.5 in total length. So if it goes all the way up to attic, right, it will hit right smack in the middle of the living room. And then after that, they asked me, right, can you give me 2 options on whether one is with lift, one without lift? I told them, I said, I can give you both options. But how about you just tell me, right, y'all want the lift or not? If y'all want the lift, right, if y'all already insist on wanting the lift just because it's a price issue, then you come and tell me now that this is what you want. I will design according to your lift positioning. If not, right, you'll end up me designing 2 different designs, right, just for you to decide whether the pricing for the lift is alright for you. Then I think it's not fair.
There's no correlation at all. Not fair at all.
The project was very, very complicated.
Is it still ongoing?
From what I last heard, because I pulled out from the project because it was too draining, and because till then, before I put out, right, they still couldn't make up their mind. So initially, my fees provided for them, was only interior fees. Then it delayed all the way for 1.5 years. So I told them, I said, like, I'm not going to increase your I'm not going to VAVO them for my design fee any extra, but I just want the amount that was catered for in my initial invoice. But they said, oh, because you didn't coordinate properly, I'm not going to pay you for the full amount. It was only 15K for assuming 1 year project.
So did you get trended and cancelled for that?
No. I mean, they didn't pay me in full. It was 15K for for about a year. And then after it dragged out for another 1.5 years. Yeah, so imagine you doing design for them for 2 years, and then they only paid me about 7,000.
Yeah, that's just miserable.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't stand that project already. So I put out. But I did give them the final 3D. So I did provide them with the 3D for them to give over to the carpenters for them to build. Even the carpenters is also their own. I gave everything I could, then I pull out. Yeah. It was too draining.
I think for some clients, if we know them very well, I think it's okay to do a good faith to start things without payment. But I think the recent project that we did together, the clients had a bit of issue with moving money overseas, international transfer. So I told them there's no way I can start because on my end, I had to down a lot of cash for manufacturing to start even. So the day I received the payment, which is probably 4 days since after the intended start date, then we had to push everything back a bit. So deadline at the back is still stiff. Then we had to do the catch up. So payment or the speed of the payment is actually very important.
Correct.
If not, it affects the entire chain. It's our livelihood. I mean, talk about it as a business, right? Why we mark up, and a lot of people do complain that, hey, you guys mark up so much. We have a family to feed. Our staff have families to feed, right? We have insurances to pay. What else? Vehicles, transport. We need these things to carry out the work. Even though for your project, it probably takes like 20 days of utilizing, we also have to be able to cover any risk involved. Say, for example, up to 30 days, right? So speed of the payment is very key.
The most important intangible one will be time. You're basically paying for the time as well.
Like for example, if I'm fabricating furniture in factory and the client had some issue at site and like, oh, we can't install it now. Maybe 3 days later. But what can my guy do during these 3 days? We start another project? Yes, but it's half-half and it takes up space. And if we don't have a project within, then what we send them to do? Renovate our own house. That doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were in Wayne's shoes, in the pot, and you have already boiled till your meat are off your bones, what would you do as a recovery plan for yourself? Because a lot of people are commenting, just find a new job. Just go and change your name. So what would you do?
I think before I talk about if I was in this situation, what I would do. Before that, I think first of all, it's not right to whether the designer was at fault or not. I think it's not right to publicize like every 10-20 seconds of this person's name or even the company itself that this designer was attached to. Because what if everything that she mentioned was actually false? If it's true, then yeah, sure. But all this could have been taken offline. Whether you want to go into a lawsuit or you want to go into small claims, all this all should have been taken offline. If let's say it's all false accusation, then you basically just ruin somebody's career just because of your social media status. Then, because I mean nowadays with the whole cancel culture, with the whole social media influencer, how toxic the media is, right? It's really a very dangerous place to be in, put yourself. So given you as a figure online, right? Yeah, by you doing this or shaming somebody, I mean, first of all, I think it shows a lot about what kind of person you are as well. Yeah, so going back to what I would do, wow, this one. I think as long as there's evidence, if you want to go and fight small claim, sure. Because if you really feel like you have nothing to you are not in the wrong for this, right? Yeah. Bringing it to social media, sure. But would anybody actually believe you, because there are always two sides to the story? So who do we believe? Believe her or believe the designer itself? If you have all the evidence that to prove that you are right and you have no fault in this, right? Then I guess worst case, if you have the time, then go and file a lawsuit. Not for claim itself, but more of defamation. Because you basically just ruin somebody's career. Why I say go into a lawsuit? Because now, I mean, honestly, that designer's name is all across the social media already. There's really no way, right, you can save yourself from this.
I mean, even people who are not in this industry or even have not even bought a house for themselves, they already know this guy.
Yeah, so there's no way he can save himself unless, why I say lawsuit, right? It is basically the lawsuit is the evidence, right? But I mean, for definitely if you win it lah. Once you win it already, you can say that this is the evidence, right? That I am not at fault for this. I have no blame in this whole situation, and all these are all false accusation. Then only then I guess is the only way that you can kind of bring yourself back into having your name clean. Yeah.
So I don't really think that having your name clean here should be a problem. Why? Because when you go to court and then you get a mediator in, it's all about recovering material damages, which is in the form of dollar cents, right? What benefit will going to social media, blasting and canceling someone, to what ends are we looking for? Other than the fact that you're out here to destroy this guy's reputation, right? So on the other side of that, he also explained his side of the story. Whether is he trying to absolve himself of guilt or not, he explained what was going on. And of course, do you know that there are people there who actually support him as well?
For sure.
Yeah. And how I look at it is bad publicity can be good publicity. Right? Some of them are saying, next time just pick your clients better.
Yes.
This is a measure that we can look forward to in the terms of how we decide how we want to run our business. But I feel if I were him, I would rock it up double it up. Go out there and do better, do more. Because I always feel that if it's not a question of morality, that means like violence, theft, rape, come on, they're not really that big of an issue. It's just money involved.
Yes.
Yeah. So end of the day, why go through the entire process of a defamation suit, blah, 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 blah. Just negotiate on a cost and get it done. Unless the other party is not willing to negotiate and cancel culture is still on. Then you are effed. Right? And then I also want to bring you back to this story. You remember this guy, he posted something on Facebook saying like the minister was eating dinner with the Fu Jianpang.
Yes.
Okay, so the guy is a friend of mine. I know him personally. Right? So at the end of the day, he had to write apology letters to the ministers and then he had to carry out social work, right? Do you know that he has gained a lot of supporters as well? Because these are the people who agree with the things, not exactly the things that he say, but they are capable of forming their own opinions, right? A defamation suit doesn't clear the air on the ground at all. You only clear it where it matters, right? Officially, my conscience is clean. I am worthy to be a representative of you in government. That is that. But of course, there's still dissent on the ground, and that's not something you can ever scrub off, I feel. Right? So if you're up to me, I don't like to leave things on sour notes. So I would definitely try to offer a hand to see how I can make this recover from this painful experience to probably do up your house nicely for you to move in. And we can still be friends after that. Right?
Mhm.
No point burning bridges. Because as a contractor, I think what clients want to see, the biggest part of it is that when you make a mistake, just admit you're wrong and continue to make good on them. So that in itself is a very strong emotions that we give to people.
I think for this saga or this whole situation, I think it's very hard to tell who is actually, or I mean, both are at fault for their individual reasons. But we also know that if you can watch both sides of the videos, they don't really align at all. So yes, we do. There are people who support the designer side for sure. But in this case, if there are already so many other designers out there or companies out there, in this situation, if it's you, right, how are you going to prove yourself if you were in that designer shoe that you can use this as a good form of to turn a bad marketing or bad exposure, right, into something that benefits you?
Don't you think that, like I said, he has a group of supporters now, right? I'm sure they are not the type of people who want to see him fail as well. So perhaps, I'm not saying he should demand, but perhaps someone there could lend him a helping hand or even a saving grace. Because I being a third party, bystander, I'm not here to go and try and figure out who's right or wrong. Actually, there's no point to it. Unless you're looking to claim something, then right or wrong comes there. But at the end of the day, I feel like everyone should be given a second chance.
But
I won't be here today as well if I was not given a second chance.
Yeah,
At a lot of
same
things.
for me as well. But I mean, I'm not defending any side because we really don't know the full story. But renovation for new owners or renovation in general takes up a huge portion of most people's savings.
Yeah.
Save or trying to give the designer a second chance.
Right.
Yeah. Like technically as a third party you don't gain any benefit from it.
Other than the entertainment value.
Yeah, so no matter what, I feel like shitting on the designer, yeah, whether it's true or false allegations, right, you pretty much you already tarnish that person's name. Right? How he wants to come back from it, sure, you can use it as a form of marketing, but I just think it's wrong. Just take it offline. Like, just because you are a social media person, what you say has impact.
Yeah. So in a way, it should be exercised. That sense of that form of responsibility should be exercised carefully and constructively. Because it kind of makes her look bad as well.
Yes.
Makes her look very petty also. Okay, so thank you for watching this episode of Behind the Build. And we spent a lot of time and energy researching and creating videos like this. So we hope you can give us a subscribe to the channel. And I'm so glad that we have Peter now as one of our permanent co-hosts. And anything you want to add, Peter?
Anything I want to add? Stay tuned for more episodes.
Yes, so it's Garrick and Peter tapping out. See you.